Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies, and comrades, I hope you're doing well in this wonderful day. I will be very brief today, very brief because I have stuff to do. So I will be brief with you. I will talk to you here, but I will be very brief, okay? As you can see, the topic today is Sifuna versus Mbadi, ODM Wrangles. Very brief, because this topic has been exhausted. I just want to give my 2 cents. I kind of touched on it on my video yesterday when I was talking about the 2010 Kenyan Constitution was not meant for angels. I addressed these things, but I will address it one more time since it's what people are kind of discussing, okay? But let's get started with the first sort of business, okay? If this is your first time in this channel, Kenya Revolutionary, we talk about Kenyan politics and the world politics as it relates to Kenya. And if you enjoy such content, please go ahead and subscribe, share, comment, do all the good stuff. If you're already subscribed, go ahead and do the first order of business, which is what? Like the video. So thank you very much. Now that we've got that out of the way, let's get to let's get to the nitty-gritty of the issue. Okay, the whole Sifuna fiasco. Edwin Sifuna, the Secretary General, had a press conference, not a press conference, but an interview. Like I mentioned yesterday, notice how these people do not want. When I talk about these people, I'm talking about these politicians, the so-called political class. How they do not want you to have an idle moment. They don't want you to be idle. They want to always entertain you, lull you, and program you and condition you into their script. Okay, so notice how we've had all these clowns lining up for exclusive interviews. Last week we had Matiangi. Then we had Raila Odinga. Then we had Martha Karua. Then we had Sifuna. Then it always goes on, and they're not saying anything new. It's the same complaints, same nonsense that we've heard about since I don't know when. It's always, oh, the economy is. If it's the opposition, they're talking about, okay, extrajudicial killings. Gen Z are mad. They're not happy. There's no jobs. The country is failing. The economy is tanking. I mean, it's the same crap that we hear about. So there's nothing new that these people are saying. Like I said, this is getting tired. Then the president, of course, on his side and his minions, they come and spin it and try to tell us the way they are launching the the great migration by the wildebeest. The things that they're doing, the economy we are improving. This should be, this whole mess should be, attributed to the previous regime. We are doing something. I'm working hard to. It's the same nonsense. Nothing is happening. Like I say, the only the only news that actually moves me and grabs my attention is when I hear people talking about let's go take out Ruto, or let's take out this whole political corrupt regime. Okay, that's what moved me. If there's a mandamano tomorrow to go occupy State House, that is what I want to hear. All this cry and spinning of these political parties on what Sifuna is doing and what Raila is saying and what ODM is going to, it's nonsensical. But we have to address it because that's what makes the news. Okay, so let's deal with this Sifuna thing. Okay, let's get with the Sifuna thing, right? So Sifuna was with Okwara, whatever the case is. And what was noticeable is Sifuna's position was kind of contrary to the whole Raila's position. Okay, again, there are people who are debating, talking about, oh, Sifuna is actually the real mouthpiece of Baba, whatever the case. They call Raila Odinga Baba, which whatever. But anyway, but some people are saying that maybe Sifuna has been engineering his exit. I mean, we remember a few months ago when Sifuna he had a what he attended a church with the members of the opposition, Kalonzo Musyoka and others. So some people started speculating and saying that maybe he's engineering his way out. So anyway, he came out and said that he basically stated the obvious, what we already know. Like I told you, anyone from who's opposing this government, we already know what the deal is, especially these politicians who happen to be trying to endear themselves with the crowd. Okay, now you have to factor in that Sifuna will be running for either re-election as a Nairobi senator, or will be running for gubernatorial seat. Well, I'm not sure about gubernatorial seat in Nairobi, because Babu Owino just came in today and said that he will be vying for the governorship in Nairobi, whether he's backed by ODM or not. He is going for it. So I don't know who's that, but we'll be called. But anyway, so what I'm trying to say is this: politicians who do not come from Luo Nyanza. Okay, let me just put that very clearly. Okay, the politicians, ODM members, politicians, okay, who are not Luos, who their constituency is not exclusively Luo, come from Luo Nyanza, okay, they have to be wary of their future, because they know this blood-based or broad-based government handshake between ODM, the MOU between ODM and UDA might not play well come 2027 when we go to elections. Okay, now I know you're saying, okay, you've been telling us election doesn't, this is already rigged. Yes, it is rigged, but guess what? Let me just help you. The presidential one is what is most likely is guaranteed is going to be rigged. Okay, these other ones also are going to be rigged, but they are more chaotic than some hotly contested seats like the Nairobi gubernatorial race, the Senate race in Nairobi. These are cosmopolitan areas that, they'll be hotly contested seats. And so rigging might, cause chaos. But I'm not saying that it's not possible. I'm just saying that the concentration in elections, especially in Kenya, the major one is always presidential, because whoever becomes the president becomes the head of the state. And once they have power, they can always maneuver their way, use their influence, the money that they steal to, engineer an impeachment of a certain, governor or deputy president, like we saw with Gachagua, or an MP, or whatever the case is. They can buy them or whatever the case is. Okay, so you get what I'm saying. That's why the concentration is always mostly on the presidential election. Okay, but anyway, so what I'm trying to say is this: for the ODM members who their primary constituency is not in Luo Nyanza, they understand that they stand a danger of being voted out come the next election, whether it's going to be 2027 or 2026 or whatever the case is. That is their fear. So they have to watch out for themselves. Like I said, these politicians, they do not care about Kenya per se. These guys care about their next big paycheck. Mpaka waangalie that they maintain that seat, because that seat is a lucrative seat. They're getting the big checks and all the trappings of power, flag in your car, and people clapping for you, expecting you to hand out money to them, and so forth, so forth. So you know what I'm talking about. You be people calling him Mheshimiwa. So for someone like Sifuna, who's looking at the next elections, and he knows, number one, he's not a politician that comes from Luo Nyanza, who have to toe the line. When Raila said, if Raila say left, we go left, you go right. Sifuna understands that he can't do that, even though he would like to. He can't take that position because his primary constituency is in Nairobi. And as I mentioned, Nairobi is a hotbed for the opposition at this point. Okay? Nairobi ni wale, hata kama kuna wajaluo huko, there's those Luos that wamechanuka. They're not buying into this Ruto nonsense. He is a lawyer, okay? The lawyers are kind of split, but they are kind of leaning towards the opposition, okay? They're not happy with Ruto. They do not care about Raila Odinga. They look at him as a traitor or a business obsessed person, who just do deals for himself and his family or whatever the case, with all these handshakes, okay? And then there's a huge number of Kikuyus in Nairobi, okay? So these different voting blocks, I'm breaking it down in ethnic, in a sectarian way. So to tell you why Sifuna has to worry about his senatorial seat if he's to vie for it in 2027 if we are going to have election then. That explains why Sifuna, even if him as a Secretary General has to worry about his position, even if he was in ODM, his position has to be clear. If he's going to run for re-election, he has to have a clear, distinct position from the official position of the ODM, which is the MOU with Ruto. He has to come out and speak out and say, listen, I'm not endorsing this. So that in the campaigns, he can go and say, you know what, I opposed this MOU and I spoke against it, defied my party leader and the party members and my official party position. I defied it by saying that Ruto was not leading us in the right direction. So he's looking out for himself. It's self-preservation, okay? He has to do that, all right? So same thing with Babu Owino, okay? Even though Babu Owino enjoys a lot of support from Luo Nyanza, Babu Owino's main constituency is Embakasi East, or whatever the case is. That is in Nairobi, okay? And he understands, in Nairobi again, it's a metropolitan, a mixed, there's different tribes in Nairobi, okay? There's Luos, Luyas, Kikuyus, Kambas, watu wa Nairobi, you know the drill, okay? So he understands, especially now that he's mentioning that he wants to run for the gubernatorial seat, he has to accommodate everyone. That's why he has done his calculation. That's why you see Babu Owino, even months ago, even as far as last year, he was attending the funeral of not the funeral, but the wedding of some Mount Kenya guy, okay? He's rubbing shoulders. Have you seen the pictures with Babu Owino and Ndindi Nyoro? They are rubbing shoulders and greeting each other. Now they're buddies. All of a sudden they have this bromance brewing between Ndindi Nyoro and Babu Owino. Why? Because Babu Owino understands that he will need the vote of Mount Kenya people. Kikuyus, not Mount Kenya. Let me just be very clear. There's a distinction, okay? I know Kikuyus stem from Mount Kenya, but there's a lot of Kikuyus in Nairobi province. I call it, Nairobi province. I'm still back in the provincial days, okay? But I'll just say that he has to endear himself with these Kikuyu leaders, okay? The so-called young youth of, coming from, Kikuyu tribe, okay? He has to warm up to them. He can't be, issuing, those kind of fiery speeches that are aimed at, criticizing the Mount Kenya region, like he used to do when Uhuru was there. Remember that? When he was telling us about the long con game and all this thing or whatever. Nowadays he's warming up to everyone. He's, his bromance with Ndindi Nyoro and all others and Waititu and all these people, because he understands that if he's going to run for the gubernatorial seat for Nairobi, he has to win votes from every major community that populate the Nairobi County. And one major voting block is the Kikuyus. He has the Luos in Nairobi because, Kibera and all that, they endorse him as the next Raila Odinga. So he doesn't have to worry about that, okay? So the only thing he has to do, he has to tread carefully and not be, overtly opposed to this whole idea of broad-based government. He can only, the way to go about it, he'll just, criticize President Ruto without actually mentioning this arrangement that Ruto has with his party ODM. So, but at this point, he's I think Babu Owino has reached a point where he's like, fuck it. I'll just, I'm not going to seek the blessings of Raila Odinga or whoever else who might think that I'm not ready to become a governor. I'm going for this, and that's why he came out and said, I am not, whether the ODM support me or not, I'm going for the gubernatorial seat in 2027 for the Nairobi County, okay? Because he understands that this position that ODM has taken with UDA is not popular with the people, okay? And he has tasted that, power. He has tasted that support by the youth, so he's sticking to it. But coming back to Coming back to Sifuna, like I said again, for the umpteenth time, for the zenith time, I say it again, you know, Sifuna, number one, he's not coming from, his main constituency is not Luo Nyanza, you know, Luos. He doesn't come from Nyanza province. His main constituency is a Luo, he's a Luo, okay? But he's not running for a Bungoma Senate or Bungoma gubernatorial seat. He's running for Nairobi Senate, okay? So far, I mean, it might change, I don't know. But that's what he's running for, okay? So, again, he doesn't have to take that official position of the party, ODM. He doesn't need the support of his party in order to get those votes. So he has to think ahead and think about the people who elected him, who are residents of Nairobi County, who happen to are not in favor or in support of this broad-based government. So Sifuna has to save his skin by making it clear that he is not party to this broad-based government, and thus explains why he went there and even went as far as saying, you know, if it takes Matiang'i to help us remove Ruto, so be it. And he also said, you know, he was going on overdrive, saying that, you know, if the number one agenda for the Kenyan people is to remove Ruto. I mean, he was playing to the gallery. He's pandering to the Gen Zs and the majority of Kenyans who have grown weary and tired of the lies and the failure of this administration. So that's what he's doing, basically. But I don't think he actually means it. Like I say in my last video, Sifuna is no different from any other Kenyan politician. This is a self-serving, politician like the rest of them, okay? We saw him when Gen Zs were, you know, when it was safe back then. When Gen Z started this mandamano, we saw Sifuna, telling people that, oh, we met Ruto, we are going to meet Ruto as ODM. We are not going as Gen Z. You see what I'm saying? And he was basically trolling the Gen Zs at that time, saying, oh, we are going as ODM, Sam Sinikasirikie, and he was failing to acknowledge the respect that majority of Kenyans have always given Sifuna. People have always looked at Sifuna as someone who, you know, the next big thing. He kind of represented the young politicians who are, you know, looking at Kenya in a different light, who are do not want to follow the same path that the Railas took, the same path that the Hurus took, the same path that Ruto took, the same path that Martha Karua and all these old politicians, Wamalwa and whatever. So people always looked at, you know, Senator Sifuna as someone who's different, the young, bright, you know, lawyer who is going to actually bring some change. Okay, him along Babu Owino and others. So when he started trolling the Gen Zs during the protest, when they were, you know, when they went up there and started all this discussion with Ruto, that's where he lost his respect. Okay, so he's trying to gain it back, you know, by doing two things. Okay, not doing two things, by taking two positions. Okay, he's in vacillation. Okay, he's trying to stay in ODM as the Secretary General, and at the same time he's trying to save his skin by making it clear that he does not support the position of his party, which is to support the president. Okay, so that's where Sifuna is caught up. Okay, but I think if things get worse, okay, if the pressure mounts against Ruto, I'm talking about if the economy continues to plunge into a ditch, okay, if the Gen Z ratchet up, keep on protest and demand that Ruto steps down, and ODM continue as they have been unpopular, then I won't be surprised if Sifuna decides, hey, listen, I'm jumping ship. I'm either going independent, but he's probably going to join the Wamunyoro, because like I said, these guys are all about saving their own skin. They do not care about they don't care about the actual issues. They don't care about standing for what they believe in. It's all about themselves. Okay. So, like I'm saying, the basic point I'm making is this: Sifuna is saying these things not because he strongly believes in it. He's simply saying it because he's taking that position because it will save his skin in the future. Okay? When we approach elections, he can point out and say, I opposed my party in this whole MOU with UDA. Okay? And in the future, even when we are approaching 2027, don't be surprised if Sifuna actually jump ship and move to the Mwamunyoro camp, you know, the United Opposition, whatever the case is, and they shall, you know, they shall they shall welcome him with shangwe na vigelegele because, you know, like I said, Sifuna's main constituency is not Luo Nyanza, okay, is Nairobi, and like I say, Nairobi is a hotbed of the opposition. People don't like Ruto, so he has to pander to them. He has to say the right things. So if it means him leaving ODM, so be it. Because if you think about it, listen to me very carefully. I'll make it short. I don't want to, you know, go in circles with this point here. If you think about it critically, how did Sifuna win the seat in Senate in ODM? At the time when he was running for Senate, okay, for that Senate seat in Nairobi, ODM was the most popular party in Nairobi, okay? And he enjoyed that party. He enjoyed the support and the votes that he got because what? At the time, the ODM party was popular due to, if you're going to break it down in you know, tribal, give it a tribal breakdown, okay? You know, his constituency, the majority being Luos and Luyas who were united at that point, at that time when Sifuna was running. Okay? Now, I've made a video about it. I gave you the video about it, you know, Raila gave us a speech, an insight, how him and Fred Fred Gumo and Raila Odinga came up with a plan in 1992, late 80s or whatever, early 90s, when he decided he wanted to run for MP of Kibera, whatever the case is, okay? Because there was a Mzungu who was actually the MP there. But anyway, so Raila and Fred Gumo, you know, they came up with the plan how they can, you know, get people who are coming from the western, Uko Western Kenya and Kisumu, whatever, Nyanza, you know, the ones who are coming, Western Kenya, basically, let me just say that, who are moving to Nairobi to move to this constituency, and they were kind of, you know, building that support. And that's why, you know, there's some estates or neighborhoods or whatever the case is, sections of Nairobi. And generally speaking, in Nairobi County, we have a huge number of lawyers and Luos, okay? You know, that's why, you know, lawyers and Luos in certain sections of Nairobi always enjoy, you know, support politicians. That's what I mean, okay? And it has been that way for a long, long time. But again, the demographics are changing and the politics are changing because, you know, given the tribal affiliations based on what party, which basically is a briefcase party that represents a certain tribe. Once, you know, there's all this wrangles in between ODM, and ODM is basically being reduced to, you know, a Luo Nyanza party, okay? Because, I mean, listen, if Sifuna leaves ODM is fucked, okay? The only person who's an Luo who will be still in ODM is maybe the guy from that Masai, what's his name? Or Ledama, whatever the case is. I'm talking about a major face that represent ODM, okay? And maybe few people from Garissa or whatever the case is, and the Johos. Maybe Hassan Joho will be playing a part, and of course, it will force them to give Joho whatever he needs. Because also Joho has ambitions, okay? This guy wants okay, my internet's going off. Raila has to juggle all these pieces in order to keep everybody happy, okay? Joho wants to run for president, wants to become the guy because they understand Raila Odinga is getting old, okay? And Raila Odinga basically is the party, is the face of the party, is the Ayatollah Poda. He's the Ayatollah of ODM, okay? So what he says goes. So anyway, like that's what I'm saying. If Sifuna leaves ODM, which is likely, okay, it's possible. It's a possibility. This is a real possibility because, like I said, Sifuna is looking at the country as his constituency. The majority of people who voted for him were lawyers who live in Nairobi. Of course, a number of Luos by the virtue of being a member of ODM, okay? And some Kikuyus who might not, never liked the other guy who was running against him, okay? Who's, it was Azimio at the point, okay? At that time, okay? Currency on his side, in this sense, there's a political friction between one. It's just, let's face it, Kenya, we're still stuck in our tribal cocoons. Let's just not sugarcoat anything, okay? So the lawyers, they're having their head turned by the Wamunyoros of that side, okay? They're saying, you know what? These guys do not care about us, you know? All right, like I was saying, uh, um, uh, the lawyers and the Luos are kind of in a kind of they have a political tension between the two. I'm not saying there's kind of bad blood in there. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying politically, the Western province, the lawyers, they have their head turned because they're looking at who benefited from this UDA ODM arrangement, and basically it was the Luos, okay, and head honchos of ODM, and the lawyers did not get anything. I mean, if you're going to count, I'm not talking about the former governor of Kakamega. What's his name? That old guy who's marrying young women, who has several women. I forgot his name. The former, I forgot his name. Somebody remind me. Whatever his name is. Okay, but anyway, on overall, okay, because let's face it, these politicians have always played this this game that they ask the programmers to look at politics as what is our community gaining from this coalition that we are in. Okay, that's how we kind of view the politics, okay, of Kenya. And that's what Gen Z are trying to change. But I'm just going by this, because it's a still powerful, deeply ingrained perception of politics, okay, where we look at politics as, okay, our son Sifuna, what is he gaining? And look at it like this. Sifuna is looking at things, and there are probably people in his ear from Western Kenya who are telling him, listen, you have nothing to gain staying in ODM because, you know, number one, your main constituents, the people who voted you, okay, to become a senator are from Nairobi, okay? And by the way, we the Western people of Western Kenya, okay, Abandu Bosi, we support you, we are behind you, okay? So you don't need the votes of Luo Nyanza to maintain your seat as the senator of Nairobi, of the senator of Nairobi, okay? You understand? You don't need the Luo votes. You can basically you can substitute the votes that you got from the Luos in that Senate race with the Kikuyu votes, okay? Because if you join the Wamunyoro, the opposition, the unified opposition, whatever, united opposition, whatever the case is, the Kalonzos and Matiangi and Wamunyoro and whoever, Martha Karua, okay? If you join them, the demographic, the tribes that are affiliated with their supporters shall replace the Luo Nyanza votes that you got in Nairobi. You understand that? Let me say that correctly. Let me say that correctly. I'm not being clear here. Sifuna has nothing to lose if he was to step out of or leave ODM. Why? Because his primary constituents or constituency is Nairobi, okay? In Nairobi, like I said, when he was voted in because ODM at the time was the most popular party in Nairobi. Anyone who was running for ODM will win majority of seats because ODM basically, it's always a tussle between the PNU or that's Uhuru Kenyatta's Uhuru Kenyatta's party, Jubilee versus ODM. Okay, so it is basically Kikuyus versus every other tribe. Okay, in Nairobi, I'm talking about Nairobi, and at that time, at that point, all these other tribes were supporting ODM. Okay, but since this broad-based government has happened and it is very unpopular, and Ruto has fell out with the Kikuyus, who majority of them are in Jubilee. And last time I checked, Jubilee left the Kenya Kwanza coalition. If I'm wrong, somebody correct me. Okay. So Sifuna can simply substitute the voters, the Luo voters that voted for him, with the Kikuyus, because the Kikuyu votes from Jubilee will be happy to vote for Sifuna, given the fact that Sifuna is leaving ODM, which is basically viewed as the party of Raila Odinga, who has decided to join hands with their nemesis, Ruto. You understand? And all these other tribes in Nairobi shall vote for Sifuna. You know, Sifuna is not going to lose any votes as far as if you're looking at the tribal composition, the ethnic composition of voter registration and people who are going to vote for the Senate race, the senatorial seat in Nairobi. Okay? The Luos might not vote for him because they might feel like Sifuna is not playing ball, he's not listening to, he's not taking orders from the Ayatollah of ODM, Raila Odinga. But Sifuna has nothing to lose because the Luya votes, who are the majority who voted for him in Senate, are still with him, are still staunch supporters of his candidacy. The Kisi's shall be more than happy to vote for him. The Kikuyus will vote for him in droves, given the fact that he shall have dumped Raila Odinga, who is a conman who has decided to join hands with their nemesis, Ruto. You understand? So if you do these ethnic calculations as far as the voters is concerned, voting is concerned, Sifuna has nothing to lose. That's why you can see he's speaking boldly and taking the position that he's taking, because number one, A, he's saving his skin, because if he was to maintain, stay as the Secretary General of ODM and support the official position of the party, which is to support Ruto, he's going to lose his senatorial seat come 2027. Because whoever is going to run to compete with him, all he has to do, or all she has to do, is to point out the fact that Sifuna is part of ODM, which is part of government led by Ruto, who has been, part of these extrajudicial killings, plunging this economy, you name it. Corruption and Ukabila, tribalism, you name it, okay? And it will be easy to defeat Sifuna. So Sifuna basically is cognizant of that fact and is looking at it like, you know what? I have to look out after me, because after all, like I say, these politicians only care about themselves. They care about their political survival and relevance. And right now, if you are in ODM and you're not from Luo Nyanza, you better think twice about your future, because as long as ODM keeps on stays in this arrangement with Ruto, they are going to be unpopular. But if you're from Luo Nyanza, you are safe, because Luo Nyanza is still locked. ODM uses violence and intimidation in every different constituency within Luo Nyanza in order to guarantee their victory. Okay? But if you are from outside, if your constituency, let's say you are running in a seat, ODM seat in Nairobi, you better start disassociating yourself from this blood-based government. You better, for your own political survival and relevance. And that's why Sifuna is taking this position. It's not because he truly believes in stuff. And the reason why I say that is because I reminded you of how he was trolling the Gen Zs, before they went to KICC, before they sat down for the NADCO movement. In fact, he actually said in his interview that he was actually part of the NADCO discussions, okay? Which I didn't know. I only thought it was Kalonzo and all the other clowns, okay? So this is what I'm saying. That's what's happening with Sifuna. And the same thing I just said about Babu Owino. That's why Babu Owino just can boldly state that, I do not care if ODM supports me or not in my gubernatorial ambitions. I will run for that position with or without the support of ODM. Why is he bold enough to say this? Because he understands that ODM is now a regional. It doesn't have the clout that it used to have, a few years ago. Okay, it is now a Luo Nyanza part outfit that has entered into agreement with Ruto, which is very unpopular position to take. And again, Babu Owino, where is his constituents? Embakasi East, in Nairobi, not in Luo Nyanza. If Babu Owino was running in Luo Nyanza, yes, he has support, but the ODM folks might try to manipulate things. Like I said, ODM has been terrorizing the people of Luo Nyanza. If they do not support you, your supporters will be brutalized and, intimidated, and their family members, whatever, threatened, whatever the case is, in order for them to have their own, I gave you the example. I've made a video. Remember when when Orengo was basically saying it in public that anyone that comes in with a party that's not ODM in Nyanza, Luo Nyanza, should be whipped, beaten up, and roughed up. And he's willing to, go to court to defend the perpetrators. Okay? We had Gladys Wanga, okay, who said Luo Nyanza is ODM zone. I mean, these are things that they brazenly say without fear. Okay? So again, Babu Owino can afford to say that because his voters are in Nairobi. And Nairobi, like I said, he enjoys, they don't have to worry about intimidation. They don't have to worry about intimidation by the ODM folks because Kibera is Kibera. And Kibera, they like Babu Owino. They are not in, Siaya, where is, Raila Odinga's, they are not in Homa Bay, where Raila can manipulate things. But even Homa Bay is kind of tricky. But what I'm saying is Embakasi, is in Nairobi. The Luos in Nairobi are kind of, I'm not saying they're smarter or whatever, they're different. They are Watu town, and they really like Babu Owino. And Babu Owino knows that, given the fact that he knows there's a lot, the Luos in Nairobi support him, now he's warming up to the Ndindi Nyoros and all these Kikuyus that are in, that live in Nairobi, okay? The head honchos of Nairobi Kikuyu political establishment, okay? The Waititus, the Sonkos, regardless of their checkered past. He's rubbing shoulders with them because he understands that, if he's going to run for gubernatorial seat in Nairobi, he needs the Kikuyu vote. He needs the Kamba vote. He needs the Luo vote. He needs the Luya vote, okay? So if he becomes defiant to the ODM folks, he will also win the Luya vote because the Luyas are also looking at ODM like, you're mistreating us. We are not gaining anything. You guys, mulingia kwa hii blood-based government, and all we saw was Luos and wakina Junet wakipata, positions, but we never gained anything from it. So if Babu Owino, who is really, really popular with the youth there, watu wa mtaa, he really doesn't need the support of Linio. Now, if Babu Owino was running to become governor of Kisumu, or governor of Migori, or of Homa Bay, that he had to play ball because there they will not, they can do things. Wanaweza kufanya vitu Babu Owino ashindwe. But in Nairobi it's different because it's like, again, it's a cosmopolitan area where all tribes reside. Okay? And the fact that he's being this defiant, him along with Sifuna, that will win him votes. People will see that, okay, this guy is not whatever. But again, like I said, these politicians, they're not doing it because they are ideologically rigid or principled. They're doing it because they want to stay politically relevant and they do not want to stay in the cold as far as politics is concerned. Okay? So that's the thing with Sifuna. Now, coming to Mbadi, Mbadi has to play ball. Mbadi now is sitting pretty within, I don't know how many months of being in government. Mbadi has been, if you look at Mbadi now, Mbadi is fat. Mbadi is sitting on millions, okay? Hata ukiona sura yake siku hizi anajipaka mafuta. Mbadi alikuwa ameparara vile alikuwanga ODM, hata akisema skunk yeye mwenyewe anakaa kama skunk. Mbadi siku hizi ukiona ile kuparara yake imeisha. Mbadi amenona, hata nimeona sura yake, sijui anaoga na Imperial Leather ama sijui ndio nini. Mbadi is living the life. Wacheni na Mbadi is doing well. Ukiona suti ya Mbadi, hata akiongea ako na confidence siku hizi. Kama vile alikuwa huko opposition, alikuwa na ukali mingi sana. Siku hizi Mbadi. So you see, Mbadi is enjoying the fruits of corruption. Okay? Mbadi is enjoying the fruits of corruption. That's why you see, again, he knows the game. In order to stay relevant in Luo Nyanza, because Mbadi comes from Luo Nyanza, okay? He was, sober, whatever the case is, okay? You have to play ball. And by saying play ball, you have to play with Raila's balls. You have to jock on his balls. Give him a fellatio, okay? Because it's Raila Odinga. He wants that. He needs that. That's the whole thing with him. Mpaka useme agwamba utiringenye 5 times a day before you brush your teeth. Okay? Somebody has to play ball. That's why you see him coming out and telling Sifuna, oh, there's a hierarchical order in ODM. Usiongee hivi. Kuna wenyewe hapa. Sisi tulikuwa hapa, wewe umeingia juzi hapa. Stop telling us sijui nini. He's trying to, small bro him, anamwambia hey kijana, and that's the culture in Kenya, sometimes you can if you are in a debate with somebody who happens to be older, wakianza kushindwa kwa debate wanaanza kusema wewe unajua ulizaliwa juzi, stop telling us nini. I was watching one time this professor, I forgot his name, he always anyway I forgot his name. He was debating Sifuna. Professor Muluka was debating Sifuna, and Sifuna was kind of destroying him in the debate. And Muluka akaanza kukasirika, akaanza kumsema, I danced with your dad. And I was like, huh? You danced with who? So basically he was saying, I'm old enough, I grew up and danced with your dad, basically. I'm old enough, nilikula raha na babako, so you can't tell me anything. But anyway, so that's what Mbadi is basically doing with Sifuna again. He's basically trying to tell Sifuna, hey, listen, there's order here. There's hierarchy here. So stop talking like you're a renegade, okay? Tutakuweka kwa laini. And you can already see this how it's, it's trickling down to the folks down to the folks in Jacaranda, whether it's Dennis Wanjala and the Omosh Jakababa. You can see how it's playing out. Oh, Eshimu Waluo, Eshimu Waluya, you see what I'm saying? That's the evidence of the kind of programming of how we conduct our politics. Okay, but Mbadi, like I say, Mbadi is just doing what Mbadi. Mbadi he's enjoying life because he's sitting on trillions, okay, of corrupt, of public money. So he has to play ball in order to maintain that position. If Mbadi was to say the things that Sifuna said yesterday on Okwara's episode, Mbadi will cease to be that CS position, is Treasury CS by midnight, okay? So he has to do that. It's expected of him. He has to come out. And even Kaluma was out there. I saw him with Gachoka, spewing the same nonsense. But anyway, in brief, the point I'm trying to make here, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends and comrades, is that, listen, if you're talking about for Sifuna, what he said, the position he took, is a pragmatic approach given the skewed nature of our politics of Kenya, okay? He's doing what he's supposed to do, to save his skin and remain relevant. Because ODM is a sinking ship, okay? The only way ODM can try to get some semblance of relevance, again, get back to life, is if they announce that they are getting out of this broad-based government. But of course, they won't do that because these guys are enjoying millions and billions US dollars, not even Kenyan shillings, billions sitting in this MOU. These people are basically bribed to stay there, okay? That's why I'm telling you, Mbadi squeezy Japarara. He has amassed, I don't know how many billions within the 2 months he has been in government, whatever the case is, okay? So they're going to stay there. They're not going to leave. They are not going to leave. Hata Opiyo Wandayi. Have you seen Opiyo Wandayi lately? Opiyo Wandayi was skinny. Now ukimwona, hata longi zake ziko tight. Ni kama mesijui nini. He's getting fat. Why? hawa majamaa wanakula sasa. Understand what I'm saying? So they are not going to leave this broad-based government. Maybe if things go so bad to a point where, it's inevitable, then maybe they might consider leaving. But I don't see it anytime soon. They shall stick it out. And I think if Ruto loses in 2027, that's when maybe ODM will leave Ruto. But I think they'll stay together till whatever. Like I said, this is already done deal. But anyway, that's what I'm saying. But do not fool. The only mistake that the people, the real revolutionaries, the people of Kenya who care about real true change, do not be fooled by Sifuna's pronouncement. Sifuna is simply, or even Babu Owino, Sifuna is simply saving his skin to survive politically because he has seen ahead, ameangalia mbele, ameona kuna mabumps pale, na akizidi kukaa kwa hii njia, he'll probably not survive, politically speaking. So he has to take a detour. Okay? Achape hiyo exit aende njia ingine, pale he knows he's guaranteed to stay in his position as super senator and, continue with his, nonsense. Okay? So he's not doing it because he believes it. He's doing it because of political survival. That's all I wanted to tell about Sifuna. But anyway, guys, do me a favor. Take a moment. If you're watching me on X, come to my YouTube channel. My name is Kenya Revolutionary. Hit the like button, share, subscribe, do all the wonderful stuff. Okay? Like the video, subscribe. Na hiyo bell button mnaiona hapo hiyo notification button. Iweke on so every time I come in, you can always be alerted that I'm on and I'm ready to have a discussion. And always, if you're in the chat, if you want to join the chat, join the chat. Ask for the link. I'll throw you the link and we can exchange pleasantries. We can debate, discuss, agree, disagree, keep it respectful. Na tunaendelea mbele. Ama namna gani? Anyway, my name is Kenya Revolutionary, guys. I'll talk to you later. Maybe I might come in later or maybe not. I'll see you tomorrow or tonight or maybe whatever. Peace and blessings and be safe. I'm out.